Good evening and welcome to all those in attendance. This is a regular school board meeting. Today is Wednesday, December the 11th, 2024, and the time is 6 p.m. And I call this meeting to order. Mr. Legarrete, will you please take roll? And I do believe that Mr. Member Montes is online via Zoom. Correct?
He will be.
Okay,
President Marquez,
here.
Vice President Gonzalez,
Here.
Member Garay.
Here.
Secretary Legarreta's here, Member Montes.
Okay, when he gets in, he'll get in, but we do have a quorum, so we'll go ahead and get started. If you could please rise for the pledge and the salute to the flag of New Mexico. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I salute the flag of the state of New Mexico, as the symbol of perfect friendship among humanity cultures. Okay, item 1, approval of consent agenda. Members of the board, are there any items that you wish to be removed from the consent agenda and discussed individually? Yeah, I'll take that as a no. Mr. Secretary, will you please read out the consent agenda items A, B, C, and D, the record?
Approval of consent agenda. Approval of A is approval of agenda. B is approval of minutes, regular board meeting 11/13/24. C is approval bills, November 2024. And D is approval of budget adjustments, request transfers, cash requests, maintenance bars 11000, 24101, 25153, 24154, transfer bar 15200, 31701, 41000. There's an increase bar of 23000. This is a dollar general donation of $5,000 and 26107 Ed Fallow allocation and 11000 is operational.
Thank you. I will take a voice vote. All in favor of the consent agenda, say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. Okay, motion carries, I believe, 4-0. We don't see Mr. Montes under, so the motion does pass to approve the consent agenda. Item number 2, Mr. Chavez, Superintendent Report.
Yes, sir. Isaac, will you pull that up? All right, I wanted to just go over I wanted to start by going over our membership. We had 80-day and we're still trying to finalize our 80-day. But it's good to start looking at membership and where we're at as far as our accounts and that sort of thing. And as we think about next year, this is the 80-day is the first, a budget count that'll impact us for next year. And so you can see from the different grade levels, just the different sizes that we have in each grade level. We've got a couple of small classes. We've got one in 5th grade, and that's probably the smallest at 66. But we also got a couple of others, and if you'll see, it looks like from 10th, 11th, and 12th, we've got up at 90, and it's usually where we've been is up about 90 or so, but we've got some other classes that are low that we've dipped. First grade is another one at 70. And so as we start looking at counts, we start looking at budget, we start looking at staffing, you know, those are all things that we have to start taking in consideration. Just for comparison, so you'll know, right now we're at 1,098 students, so just under 1,100 students. This is down 32 students from last year. And so last year at 80 day. And so, you know, we'll be monitoring this as we move along. Of course, you know, 120 day will give a better idea of where we stand with the budget. And of course, there's so many other different factors that we have to take in consideration. And, you know, we got the legislative session that's coming up, and we'll see what they're looking at as far as the unit value. And but it's something that I'll be working with the principals to start thinking about staffing patterns, and you know, what we need to do to you know, account for a loss of 32 students, because that is, Sheila, about $200,000.
Yeah,
124,000.
Yeah, something like that. So, you know, that's you know, it's something that we always have to keep in mind. So,
And just a real quick question, and you may not be able to tell me this, Mr. Chavez, but
Yeah.
the 70, that is pretty low. How many first graders are in Garfield? If that 70, how many, what is that?
oh, I
No, roughly,
I didn't have the
Okay.
breakout by school.
Cause we used to run 80, 85 just at Hatch Elementary, another
Right,
good
right.
22 to 25 kids
Right.
at Garfield.
And so, yeah, we're,
That
you know,
grade is,
yeah, that grade is,
at least
it's a low
Kinder's a
class.
little better.
You can see Kinder though, we're up
Yeah,
at
that's
90.
better. Yeah,
you
so
know,
that's better. Yeah.
You know, that first grade class and that fifth grade class are just two classes that, you know, we dip below 80. And
Yeah.
so, you know, it's where we want to be is, you know, 80 to 100, you know,
Yeah.
somewhere falling
Okay.
in that range.
Mhm.
So, so anyways, I just wanted to share that with you guys, and we'll finalize the counts in the next couple of weeks, and then get moving. Okay.
Thank you.
All right, next slide, Isaac. I wanted to share with you some panorama data, and as you know, panorama is our dashboard. It's our early warning system and dashboard. And so I wanted to just kind of give a comparison to where we're at now to last year, and seeing, you know, how we compare. And so academics, what this measures is grades. Okay, so this is how our kids are doing with their grades in the classroom. So for the first one there is in 23, 24 is the blue, and then orange is 24, 25. So you can see that we're doing better academically in our grades, which I want to just point out that you know, remember that we changed the grading, the way we grade, and the grading policy. And so it's actually a little bit harder for kids to achieve academically, but even so, they're doing better than where they were last year. And so let me explain this a little bit more. These are kids, that 58% right there. These are kids that have grades no lower than a C. Okay, and so what's not included is the kids that have a D or an F. Okay, so these are just kids that have A's, B's, and C's. Okay, and that is what this is reflective of. Okay, so in the classroom, the kids are doing better with their grades, and that's good, because one of the things that we're doing is we're raising the level of expectation of our kids, especially at the high school. And so it's been an adjustment. Let's just say that it's been an adjustment, but it's been good. Okay. Attendance, we're doing better than we did last year. And attendance is what this is kids. So the 76% are kids that have attended 90% of class days to school or more. Okay, so so we do have kids that are, you know, below that 90, but you know, we're working really hard to make sure that kids stay in school. Okay. And the last is behavior, and behavior, we did go down. We've gone down 1 percentage point. But it's hard to, when you're already at 98, last year, it's hard to maintain that. But these are kids that we have 97% of kids that have no referrals. So that is really, really good. And so our kids, we're doing well. We're doing better than last year, and with academics and attendance and behavior. And so we're really proud of that. And so we know there's a lot of work to do, but we continue to move forward in improvements. Okay. I also wanted to share with you the Lexile scores, and Lexile scores are the scores that we monitor really closely at middle school and high school level. And so you can see over time, this is what we're looking at to see, when we talk about being prepared or college, if we're college and career ready, that's what we're talking about here. But that also equates to, are you at grade level? And so what we're looking for is just this is an average of Lexile levels, for the school. And you can see with the blue, Hatch Valley Middle School, the school scored in August 595. So that's an average of all kids. But you can see where they're at today. They're at 809. And so there's been tremendous growth in their reading scores and Lexile levels. Same thing with high school. They started at 787 and they're currently at 854. And so again, they're having steady growth. For high school, we'd like to see that above 1,000. That's the goal. And as close to 1,000 as we can with the middle school.
And once again, the Lexile scores, what assessment is that? IXL?
That is the Achieve 3000.
Oh, Achieve 3000. Okay, good. Sorry.
Next is staff retention and recruitment. I wanted to announce that as far as teachers and teaching positions, currently today, we are fully staffed. Okay, but let me explain some of that, because there are some changes that are happening or that we're working through. And so we did have one retirement teacher, and but we have 3 candidates that have already applied, and I believe those interviews happened yesterday. So I'm waiting to see the recommendation so that we can offer that person the job, and again, we'll be fully staffed as far as our instructional staff. I believe they interviewed yesterday and checking references today and tomorrow, however long it takes to check out the references.
Did you mention, was that elementary or secondary?
It was elementary.
Oh,
Yes,
wow. Elementary
yes.
had a retirement.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and then the next one is the gifted teacher. And this is a new position that we opened up this year. We haven't been able to fill it. So I guess technically we have an opening, but we are covering the need with existing staff. And so for the elementary, we have Miss Sandra Williams that takes care of our gifted kids at the elementary level and into middle school. And then we have Mr. Cahill that takes care of the high school gifted. Okay. And so while we don't have that position filled, we do have other staff members that are meeting the needs of the kids. And then staff, we had a retirement with bus driver. So we'll need an extra bus driver. We have 2 EAs positions. One of them moved into a different position, and the other, I am not sure what the change was there. And then we have a custodian position that's open at the high school. And so we'll be getting, I know we have interviews already scheduled for the EAs and the custodian.
The bus drivers are just so hard.
It is.
Mhm.
It is.
So hard to come.
Eduardo's, Wayne, and this time of year is really hard because you get people that are sick, right?
Yeah.
And so Eduardo has, he's like using everybody that we can. So we have our two mechanics that, do double duty by driving the bus. We have Bobby that drives the bus and Manny that drives the bus. And so we're pulling from wherever we can.
Yeah.
Okay. I wanted to report that we had the legislative dinner last night, and this is a dinner that we that the three superintendents in Doñana County get together and we talk about the legislative session. We bring the legislators in and we talk about, what are our needs. And so it's a time where the three of us get together and we collaborate and we decide on what are the priorities for all of our districts. And, but then we also go into like capital requests, and those are individual. And so, one of the things that we were able to share with the legislators is the need for the SEG to be increased. But we're looking for not just an increase in the unit value, but in the factor that is used to determine units for bilingual and for special education. And so what we want to do is we want to be able to target the monies that are generated and allocated to the district to those two areas. And and that's apart from the unit value, when whatever they allocate for us at that point. And so I know that LFC is meeting today and tomorrow over in Santa Fe, and I believe Senator Souls informed us that they were going to be submitting from the LESC their budget request tomorrow to LFC. And so it'll be interesting to see what LFC, LESC, and the governor, where they all come together and where they land. And so, but we're looking for a change to the formula and the weight factors that are used to determine units for bilingual and for SPED. Also transportation. This is the first year, well, all three districts are having to supplement their transportation costs with operational dollars. And so this is the first year in Hatch that since I've been here that we've had to supplement. What we got allocated fell short of what our costs are. And so to the tune of $300,000. So about $300,000 we're having to supplement. Part of that is the change in the formula and the density factor that they used for this year. That's one. But the other is the counts. And this is something that I brought to the legislators' attention, is that in statute, they determine when those counts happen. So we have an 80-day count, we have a 120-day count, okay? The 80-day count is December 1st. Well, let's think about December 1st, which was last Monday. That was right after the Thanksgiving holiday. Ridership was down. Last 120 in the spring of last year, we had, it's the statute says the second Wednesday of February. Okay, so the second Wednesday of February last year was February 14th, Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
It was also Ash Wednesday.
Oh.
So our counts were really, really low on that day. And so one of the things we're asking the legislature is we've got to have some flexibility, like when holidays and things like that happen. We've got to have some flexibility to be able to change, the day, maybe the second week in February and maybe the first week of December or something like that, so that we can have some flexibility with that. So those are some of the things that we talked about as far as transportation. We also asked for medical insurance to give an allocation to the districts so that we can get to 80-20 for all of our staff. And what this would do is it would put more money in our staff's pockets. Okay, if we were able to get up to 80-20, now there's some districts that have done that on their own. Las Cruces Public Schools is one. Gadsden and Hatch, we just couldn't afford that right now. And so we're hoping that the legislature will take that in consideration and fund us so that we are able to do that across the board, 80-20. Okay. CTE, we asked the legislature to continue to fund and be supportive of CTE. And one of the things we heard is that they're looking at an increase for CTE. And so we're really excited about that, and we'll see how that pans out. But the one thing that we really want to see is we want to see a CTE factor in the 910B5. And so that it is reoccurring funds. Right now, a lot of that money is below the line. And we never know, you know, what we're eligible for, what we're going to get from any year and year to year. And so by having it within the 910B5 and having it as part of the factor, then we know what we know we're going to get reoccurring monies. And so, for example, in CTE, you know, it's always expensive to replace equipment. And so we never know if we're going to have money to be able to do that. Well, if we know that we're getting a factor in there, we know that we'll have money from year to year to be able to plan for replacement of equipment. And the last thing that we did specifically for our district is I was able to talk about the capital outlay request that we're going to be submitting next week. And that is for the Hatch Valley Vet Center barn. And I'll talk a little bit more about the barn here in a little bit, but one of the things that we need is we need money to do the site prep. So the Kellogg Foundation is actually, we're using funds from Kellogg to purchase the barn. But what we need is we need the site prep, we need the utilities, and we need the labor cost of erecting the building. Okay. And so that's what we're going to be asking for. I believe we have a rough estimate of about $181,000. So we're hoping, and we're knocking on wood, that the legislature will take our request and go with it. We got a lot of good feedback, a lot of positive feedback. So we're hoping that that'll get fully funded for us. Staff Appreciation Day. I want to report that we had that yesterday. No, not yesterday. Monday or yesterday? Oh my goodness,
Monday.
I can't remember.
Monday, the night.
I think it was Monday. Yes. So, but we had another 40 staff members that participated in that. And so it's having an impact. It's having an impact, not only just the community, but also for our staff. And so glad to report that we have staff that are participating in that. And the last thing under this is the Convivio de Familiar. And I don't know if anybody from middle school is here. Oh, there's Miss Perry. Okay. And so I want to just give a shout out to Miss Perry and her staff. Because, you know, we talk about parent engagement, but we also talk about just creating an environment for parents to come and feel welcome and to see what's going on in the schools. And so, Isaac, if you'll go over to the next slide. Here's some pictures just from that. And I'll start at the very top left-hand corner. Mrs. Petermeyer always does such an incredible job with their drama. And so they did this skit, and I believe it was the day before Christmas, New Mexico style or something. And so it was, the kids just did amazing, and the props, and kudos to Miss Petermeyer, because she just did an incredible job. That middle picture there is just all the parents. You know, you can see that it was well attended. And then we also had mariachis. You can see that. You know, I believe it was Luz Molinar that was it Luz? Luz Molinar that was able to secure that for the mariachis to come. And so we had mariachi music. We had Ms. Sulzer, who did an incredible job of, it was a class assignment where the kids wrote about Yo Soy. Is that right? That was the lead, Yo Soy. And then the kids wrote about, you know, who they are. Yeah. And so, so you can see Ms. Seltzer did her poem, and then the kids did their own. And of course they serve pozole. And so, you know, everything goes as much better with pozole. And so, but I was there with the Miss Perry and her staff, and I think everybody was there. I think all of her staff was there, and it was just a great night, and my heart just soared for the wonderful things that are happening over at the middle school. And so, again, thank you, Miss Perry. I know it takes a lot. You did a wonderful job. Safety, I wanted to report that we're in the process of getting a quote. I believe we just got a quote late this afternoon for the fencing. And we're also looking at lighting for this area right across the street over your catty corner, where we had the two portables. And I'll talk a little bit about the portables, but now that the portable is gone, we need to fence that off. Okay, and as I had notified the board, we did have a break-in over the Thanksgiving break. And so we really need to have better security lighting and fencing now that those buildings are gone. We're also looking at moving forward with the reflective window film at the middle school. Again, this is one of those safety factors. And so it's that reflective film where you can see out, but they can't see in.
Mhm.
And so we're looking at the windows there, but it's also for the sunshine, you know, there's a lot of sunlight that comes through, and it's a little blinding. And in the summertime, it gets really hot. And so we're looking to add this window film, and we're going to test it out. We're going to see how it works. Right. Currently, we have blinds, and blinds need to be replaced, but the cost of blinds, holy cow, I didn't realize how much that was going to be. So we're going to give this as a first step and see how that works, and then we'll reevaluate the blinds. But it's also going to go in the nurses station, because right now they got clear windows and there's not a lot of privacy. So we're going to go ahead and put that window film there as well. Okay. Facilities. I wanted to report, I mentioned the portable buildings, and they have been relocated. One over at the middle school and the other over at the high school near the baseball and softball complex. And these are going to serve as lockers, dressing rooms, and restrooms for our kids, our athletes. And I know Mr. Sanchez is currently in the process of looking at what would lockers, a quote for lockers to be able to put in those buildings. Also flooring and replacing the flooring, and a little bit of we have to make sure that the teams that are in any given room cannot get into the other room. And so
Right.
we need to create a wall there so that there's no access from one room to the other. And so we're in the process of getting a quote for that. They are currently hooking up the utilities, the gas, the water, the sewer, and the electricity. And so those should be done here in the next couple of weeks, maybe the next month. We took a tour of the Hatch Valley Vet Center, and they're moving right along. They have a completion date, target date of February 4th. They're moving really quickly now. And so we're hoping that at some point, and maybe in January, we can offer a tour so that we can go over there and see exactly what's going on over there. And it's a beautiful facility, and it's going to be all inclusive as far as not only offering small and large animal care, but also grooming, dog grooming, and things like that. So these are all opportunities for kids to be able to, if they want to go into the grooming business, well, here's some experience that you can get that experience. They want to be a vet tech, it's a good place to start. Okay. And then I also wanted to just mention the football field house, the remodel. We met with them and took a tour over there. They have almost completely gutted that whole building, and they have a target date of June 30th. And so we're moving right along, and they're hoping in the next couple of weeks that they can start putting some walls up. And once we get the walls up, then it'll give people a better idea of what we're looking at. And I know the people that took a tour today, they said, holy cow, this building is huge. I said, yeah, it is. It's huge. It's a really large building. And I think people are going to be really, really pleased at the final product. And so just wanted to report that. Is that it? Is that it? Okay, that concludes my report.
Thank you. Okay, item 3, limited public comment. Nope. Okay. All right, we'll go on to new business. Okay. Item 4A, consider approval of donation blanket student accident insurance. Mr. Chavez.
So I think it was, oh gosh, I'm trying to remember, but I thought it was around April, maybe May. We had talked about the possibility of the district purchasing and insurance for our kids. And it's a great policy. It gives us, it gives our kids protection, it gives the district protection. And all around, it's just a good idea. But as we started moving forward and I started visiting with our legal counsel, I found out that that the district was not able to purchase that. And there's a couple of different reasons. So what we've been doing is we've been trying to look at different options on how do we get this done and provide accident insurance for our kids. Part of the problem is our policy that's aligned to statute says that we have to offer insurance to kids. Okay, if they're playing sports or just people that just want to just get additional insurance. The problem with that is that the superintendent of the insurance authority made a ruling last year that prevented insurance companies from being able to offer single policies to individual students. And the only thing that they could do is blanket insurance. So with that decision and what I've been told is that it was an unintended consequence. And so, but it impacted us because our policy, even within our policy, we say we have to offer it, but yet we don't have anything to offer because of this ruling. And so, so we have a short-term plan and we have a long-term plan. And what we're going to be talking about today is the short-term plan and a way that we can move forward to get this done and make sure that our kids are insured. And with us is we have Miss Sandra Williams that has spearheaded the movement for donation because we are able to accept it as a donation, but it needs board approval to be able to do so. Okay, and then Mr. Fernie Sanchez has been involved as well. And between the two of them, they can get into more details of what this means, what would it provide for our kids, and what we can do to move forward now while we work with our legislatures to amend or to fix the statute somehow so that we are able to, I have not met anybody that says this is a bad idea. Everybody says it's a good idea, but because of the way it's written in statute, it prevents us from moving forward to do so. So we think we have a solution to be able to move forward. And luckily we have some people that have stepped forward to make this happen. And so I'm going to turn it over to Sandra.
Good afternoon, distinguished members of the school board. Thank you for taking the time to listen to me today. I am here to discuss the critical need for equitable access to insurance coverage that will allow for participation in extracurricular activities and athletic events for all our students. My goal is to address existing disparities and ensure that every child, regardless of their background or financial situation, can thrive academically, socially, and physically. One of the most basic and fundamental needs of every child is access to quality health care. Yet, there are students in our district that lack reliable health insurance, which can ultimately affect their attendance, academic performance, ability to participate in extracurricular and athletic activities, and overall well-being. Without insurance, students may not receive needed medical care, leading to increased absenteeism, undiagnosed conditions, and a diminished capacity to fully participate in school life. Families who cannot afford insurance or do not have coverage through their employer are at a significant disadvantage. This is particularly true in our community, with high levels of poverty, where children may already be dealing with challenges such as food insecurity, unstable housing, or other barriers to success. My short-term proposal is to allow us, the community, to purchase a policy that will be a blanket insurance policy. My long-term goal is to explore options to provide affordable healthcare insurance or access to subsidized health services for school-aged children. I want you to keep in mind that extracurricular activities and athletics are essential to a well-rounded student and education. They provide students with opportunities to develop leadership, teamwork, discipline, and other vital life skills. However, there are students who will be unable to participate in these activities due to financial constraints because of their lack of insurance. This matters because all students deserve the chance to be involved in extracurricular activities, which often provides motivation to stay engaged with their studies and build positive relationships. We know that extracurricular activities, whether sports, arts, clubs, or community service, play a crucial role in a student's development. They help students develop leadership skills and teamwork and confidence. They provide opportunities for students to explore their interests and their talents, which are not necessarily addressed in the classroom. Research has shown that students who engage in extracurricular activities tend to perform better academically and socially. By making these opportunities available to all, we can help level the playing field for students who might otherwise be excluded. But most importantly, it also builds a sense of pride and community within our schools. Ensuring that all students have access to these experiences can help foster a more inclusive and supportive school culture. As many of you who are still in the education process know about the Yazzie Martinez lawsuit, how it has had a profound effect and impact on how we think about education and equity in New Mexico. The lawsuit, which was filed in 2014, argued that the state of New Mexico was failing to provide an adequate and equitable education to Native Americans, Hispanics, and low-income students. In 2018, the court ruled in favor of the plaintiffs, declaring that New Mexico had violated students' constitutional rights by not providing sufficient resources, like insurance, for a meaningful education. The court also found that the state was not providing enough funding to schools that serve at-risk students, including those from low-income families, English learners, and indigenous population. This lawsuit also highlighted disparities in access to rigorous curriculum, support services, and extracurricular programs. The court ruled that the state must increase funding for public education, particularly for schools like ours, serving the most vulnerable population. The Yazzie Martinez case underscores the importance of providing equitable resources to all students. Our efforts to ensure health insurance will allow access to extracurricular activities and participation in athletics, directly aligned with the court's findings. It is critical that we create systems to provide all students, especially those vulnerable ones, with the opportunities and support they need to succeed. In light of these challenges and the ongoing need to address the disparities in our educational system, I urge the board to consider the following action. As a short-term solution, as a community, we have come together to raise funds to be able to purchase a policy that will cover all students in the district. We would appreciate your support in approving this action to ensure that we are providing equitable opportunities for all students as is warranted by the Yazzie Martinez case. But for long-term actions, I want us to begin exploring ways to provide affordable health insurance for all school-age children in our district, ensuring that health disparities do not hinder academic and social success. By beginning these steps, it would help eliminate any barriers to extracurricular activities and sports participation. As many of you know, our sports participation has dwindled some, and we need to do everything we can to get these barriers to come off. I want to thank you for your time and attention. The work we do here has the potential to make a lasting impact on our children's lives. By addressing the gaps in insurance access and giving them this access to be able to play sports or be involved in extracurricular activities, we'll make an equitable opportunity for all. We can create a more inclusive and supportive educational environment for every child. Together, we should work together. We can make sure that we have all students able to have resources that they need to be successful in life, not just in the classroom, but in life. I look forward to working with all of you to make these changes a reality. If you have any questions or would like further details on any of these points, I'd be happy to discuss them further with you.
Thank you. Mr. Travis, I do have a question.
Yes, sir.
Donation from who? From
So
where?
it is a donation from the community and community members that have come forward.
Oh,
So
okay.
it's not necessarily, correct me if I'm wrong, Sandra, but it's not necessarily a group. It's just people that have stepped forward and to
I did.
make a donation.
I have
Oh.
gone to speak to several community members. I did speak to the Baptist church, and I've spoken to other religious places. I have spoken to the farmers, and they have committed to help us
Okay.
get the money so that we can get these kids insured, at least for this year, as a short-term relief.
And I want to clarify something, Mr. Marquez. I want to make sure that we're not misrepresenting this either. And I don't think that's intent. It's not a health insurance.
No.
There is a health insurance benefit. This is an accident insurance. It is, now what's really weird about it, I put one of your papers, has a little fold down on it. That's one I wanted to bring you to. That's the accident coverage. It kind of breaks that down the best way. 2 pages before that, they do offer bilingual services, which is also a very important thing for us to have a full bilingual staff. So we don't have to worry about parents calling in with the translator. That's big. On there, it's the 1 hour before, 1 hour after. Unfortunately, we did have some incidents recently, even in football, that this policy actually would have kicked in. It would have even kicked in for those people with insurance, because it helps them cover their cost. It becomes a secondary insurance for somebody that does have it. And then it becomes something primary for those that don't, or those that are shortfalled. This does step in to do that. 2 pages after that, and it's going to be a titled blanket school time benefit descriptions. That page, it's about 2 pages past it. It'll say on the very top again, blanket school time benefits description. You will actually see a sickness medical expense that covers some sickness. If a kid's at school and starts to feel ill and something happens, this insurance actually would kick into a system. It does assist those people that need to go somewhere. Yeah, it'll tell you the sickness medical expense. So things like that it really does provide psychological therapy for people that are doing that. One of the things we talked about with our work-based learning students, when they go out to work, there's a little bit of a kind of a gray area, because who are they under? Are they under the place where they're going for work-based learning, or are they under the schools? This will cover all those. This will cover a kid in gym class accidentally falling and breaking an arm if they hear any expenses with that, because we don't know if those kids have that kind
No,
of
I
stuff.
think this is great. I'm a little confused, and maybe Mr. Chavez, with your permission, if you can explain that. Approve a donation of what amount? That's like, I see B, there's a specific, and I see that, so that kind of.
It is,
I guess we can approve to seek, or where is that check? Or
It's-
where is that?
So, Mr. Marcus, let me
Okay,
explain,
okay.
okay, and that is, it's not money that we're receiving. Okay,
Okay,
okay?
Yeah.
The insurance company doesn't care who
Gets-
how they
yeah.
get paid,
okay.
okay? But we are accepting the donation of the policy itself. We're not accepting money.
Okay.
we
Okay.
cannot
We
accept
cannot
the
accept the money.
Okay.
for it. We can accept the policy. The
Okay.
community is going to write the check to the insurance
So
company,
they're gonna
which
go
is,
directly to the.
yes. We have
Okay.
to have somebody that's willing to sign. In this case, Mr. Chavez would have to sign saying he's accepting the policy.
Not
for the
okay,
district.
We're not getting the, and then buying the policy.
We couldn't do
See,
that.
if we accepted the money,
Uh-huh.
then that money would become public funds.
Yes,
And then we couldn't do it because our policy doesn't allow us to do that. So we are not touching the money. We are not accepting a donation of money. We are accepting a donation of the policy, the
Okay.
blanket policy for all of our students.
oh, that makes sense. Okay.
Do you need to know the amount? We have it here if you need it.
I think was that the amount that was?
No, it's not,
No.
because
Oh.
when we started this process back in, when we talked about it in June, I think is when we talked about it originally. So we found out the amount was over $8,027 and change. Because we're doing this late, it's been prorated
because
for us
Rated.
for $6,068 and 88
And once we
cents.
approve this, what's the time frame when they?
As soon as
get
he
the-
signs, we're covered. So
cool.
if I get in the papers tonight, he signs it, dates it, the policy clearly starts tonight, as long as they're read. And we've got, I think, 5 days to pay.
So your recommendation?
I just want to also just
Okay.
go on record also that I did check with our lawyer or the council.
Mhm.
And she said this would be
Okay.
good. So
That it
yes,
would
my
be okay.
recommendation is for approval.
Okay, well,
So
I will
moved.
entertain, okay, all right, I was gonna ask, I'll entertain a motion to approve the donation, but moved by member Garay, seconded by Secretary Legarreta. Okay, so I will take a roll call vote. So if you are in favor, say aye. If opposed, say no. Member Garay,
Yes.
VP Gonzalez,
Aye.
Secretary Legarreta,
Aye.
Member Montes.
He's,
Okay, he's.
no, no.
Myself, President Marquez, aye. Motion carries 4-0. Approval of donation for blanket student accident insurance is approved.
I'm sorry, will they have like a card or like a benefit card or?
Go ahead, yeah.
I've been communicating with Eric Schwartz. He's our representative. They will get we will give them a list of all our students and every student's covered. Regardless of, there's no things. We will get a coverage number. If there's an incident, we communicate with them and then they'll give us information at that time that we need for them. And they've got plenty of help. They're currently 61 districts in the state using this right now.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow.
So
So
kind of
why
a
are we
weird,
falling behind?
huh? It just started this year.
Okay,
Just, yeah, we're not behind. It just
we're not falling.
working
behind.
through the process to find a way to do this without breaking any policy
Right.
or language like that.
Good job.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Okay, 4B, consider approval of donation from Dollar General. Saying the wrong one. Oh, I'm gonna put that right. Let's consider approval of donation from Dollar General of $5,000 for literacy, $5,000 for literacy. Mr. Chavez.
So this is the second year that Michael Padilla from Dollar General has applied on our behalf for their literacy foundation. And it's a monetary award of $5,000, so $1,000 for every school. And this is the second year that we've been able to do this. And so what you're approving is the donation of that money. You approved the bar up on top and in the consent agenda, but this is actually accepting approval of the donation.
Okay, and your recommendation?
Recommendation is for approval.
So
Okay.
moved.
Okay, so moved by Member Garay,
Second.
seconded by Mr. Gonzalez. Any discussion? All right, well, go ahead and I'll take a roll call vote. If you're in favor, say aye. Opposed, say no. Member Garay,
Yes.
VP Gonzalez,
Aye.
Secretary Legarreta,
Aye.
myself, President Marquez, aye. Motion carries 4-0. Approval of donation from Dollar General of $5,000 is approved. 4C, consider approval of annual FMP update. Mr. Chavez.
So you have a handout here that exactly what it is that we're approving. And so just for historical purposes, the actual FMP was done in 2021. The full-blown FMP we required, it's a 5-year plan. And but every year after that, we have to make adjustments or revisions and reapprove everything. And so some of the things that will change are the teacher housing pilot that we talked about last month. And also the improvements at the middle school for the exterior, the envelope. And so that involves doors and stucco and drainage, I believe. And so you'll also see all the different projects on the next 2 pages. The ones in yellow are the ones that are currently in process. And so those are the ones that we're currently moving forward. Sheila is here to stand for questions. If you have any questions regarding the FMP.
Have any questions from any members? Do you have any questions? Okay, I'll go ahead and Mr. Chavez, your
Recommendation is for approval.
Okay, so I'll entertain the motion to approve annual FMP update.
So moved.
So moved by Member Garay,
Second.
seconded by Mr. Gonzalez. Any discussion? Move forward. I will take a roll call vote. If you are in favor, say aye. If opposed, say no. Member Garay,
Yes.
VP Gonzalez,
Aye.
Secretary Legarreta,
Aye.
myself, President Marquez, aye. Motion carries 4-0. Annual FMP update is approved. 4D, consider approval of HMS systems-based application. Travis?
Yes, as I just mentioned in the FMP, this is for the improvements at the middle school. It's for the envelope. And again, it's the stucco, it's painting, it's the exterior doors and site drainage.
All right, your recommendation?
Recommendations for approval.
I will entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Okay, moved by Member Garay, seconded by Mr. Gonzalez. Any discussion? Yeah, I'll move forward. I will take a roll call vote. In favor, say aye. If opposed, say no. Member Garay,
Yes.
VP Gonzalez,
Aye.
Secretary Legarreta,
Aye.
Myself, President Marquez, aye. Motion carries 4-0. The middle school systems-based application is approved. We're moving along. 4E, consider approval of pilot teacher housing application. Mr. Chavez.
So again, as mentioned in the FMP, this is the pilot teacher housing application, the same that we talked about last month. We're looking to provide teacherages, and we have that location over by the elementary school. And so my recommendation is for approval.
Okay, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Moved by Member Carais,
Second.
seconded by Mr. Legarreta. Any discussion about approval? Okay, I'm going to take a roll call vote. If you are in favor, say aye. If opposed, say no. Member Garay,
Yes.
VP Gonzalez.
Aye.
Secretary Legarreta,
Aye.
myself, President Marquez, aye. Motion carries 4-0 to approve pilot teacher housing application. Item 4F, consider approval of purchase of high school bleachers and flooring.
Again, sorry, I'm bombarding you with paperwork tonight.
So as I mentioned last month, this is something that we've actually been looking at for the last year or so. And to see, can we get the bleachers repaired? Do we need to replace them? And as I mentioned, we haven't been able to get somebody to come in and work on them, partly because they're 20 years old, they're end of life. And they're just, people just won't even guarantee any type of work on them. And so being that they're end of life, I've asked Mr. Sanchez to look at a couple of different options, present to the board different options. And so I believe he's going to have 3 or 4 options for you to consider as we consider moving forward.
And I did some graphics for you. They're putting them up for us right now. If you can look at the board, the thing, and it'll go with what we're showing you on option 1. Scroll down. The first option is kind of like if we were to replace what we have right now, just go back in, order brand new 16 level bleachers. And that's the very top one you can see. And the second page you see what happens when it's extended, how it goes into the next court. And what that price would come out to be, I think we'll get that to the end, I guess, but that's kind of what that looks like. The second option,
one.
the first option, and it'll have it on this thing for us on the pricing. The second option that we started to consider was, what if we only went 10 rows? What if instead of replacing it with 16, because the weight's the biggest issue on the floor, which meaning the taller something is, the more metal it takes, the heavier the weight. The second option would be, instead of going 16 levels, going 10 levels up. So right now that the bleachers are 16 levels up, 16 flights.
On both sides.
No,
We're only
we're just
talking about one
talking
side.
about the side behind where the teams normally sit now, the home side. Or it's the visitor side, actually, but where the teams sit.
Side of the scoreboard.
No, those stayed because they're working. We were able to get those working. Those are functioning. We don't want to talk about the south side bleachers.
That open up.
Yeah, the ones that we're struggling with are the ones that we were tasked with.
Okay.
So if you go down to the next page, you're going to see it actually at 10 rows, it doesn't go out as far. It does create a little more room on the side court. That's really not a big deal, because if you've got an event going with the bleachers out, it's just really more like just maybe a lower cost option. We lose about 40 seats per row. That's what the thing is. So you lose about 240 seats, and we could get to seating here in a moment. The thing is, it'll change the look of the gym because it won't be the same size on both sides. It will look different. But it is less weight to move. And one thing when we talked to Norcon, who had come in and talked about replacing, is that it would function better. Barry Stout, who does the flooring from Stout Flooring, he's talked about having to reinforce the floors before. He said that less weight you move, the easier things move. It's just, physics tells you, it's going to take less power. You're going to have less issues. We went to option 3, which was kind of a redesign a little bit of the side. It would create a bigger floor. It's not anyone's favorite design because it moves the bleachers against the wall on the north side. And what it does is it creates a big gap between the bleachers, the visiting bleachers, and the floor. So the next page would actually show you that. Now, the benefit to that is actually a practice benefit. I can tell you, I've been the boys basketball coach the last 3 years. The courts on the side actually are not very helpful. They're too compact. There's no space. When you go to a gym and they have side courts, the ones that go sideways, usually they're supposed to be almost the length of a court. Ours are not. Ours are half. Because the gym design with those bleachers in the middle, it thinks so. The third option is against the wall, extending them out. That's what it would look like on game days. Yeah, that's as far out as they would go.
Is
Huh?
that,
It's 33 feet on a 16.
but here, the gap,
It is, I'm gonna go make me do some math real quick here.
yes.
Okay. It's about 29 feet
It's still
from the
about
bottom
20
bench. Yeah,
From the.
that bleacher end to the floor, correct. It's not my favorite option because it's also absolutely the most expensive option. And we'll go over that in a minute. So
Why
if
did
you
you
go up
bring
a
it
little
up?
more, and here's your options. So option one, which is to replace just what we have, do the flooring that needs to be redone when they do it, comes out to 258, 770, 12. That's 16 rows, basically will look exactly the same, no change. Option two, the shorter one, saves us about $50,000. It takes us to 202, 945, 79. And then the last option, the price starts at 339. And I say starts because there's additional things that we'll need. You're going to need a floor separator for practice time, which is just think of it like a large curtain. A lot of gyms do have them. They either split out or they sprint up. That would be, so those additional costs on top of that third option. But I wanted to be fair and give you guys a fourth option, which is don't fix them.
Yeah.
Don't do it. And I talked with obviously Miss Holguin. I wanted to talk with people that were involved. Miss Holguin and I sat down, looked. Obviously, being at the high school helps me a lot. 4 times a year. We can use it for a while. Can last us a few more years if we're going to be okay with the manual push, as long as we're not using students to push it. That's kind of where I would draw the line. I don't want students out there pushing the bleachers. We've got custodians, we've got maintenance people. We can coordinate that. When I talk about attendance, the top high school event attendance, not a tournament, but a single day event, was 360. And that was actually the Silver Deming playoff game that we just hosted.
Right.
The single seat on one side is 586. On the bleachers, it's 620. We never get close to 360 out of 560. I mean, we're filling 60% of the bleachers. Opening that other set of seats, I would see it if we were hitting capacity. I would see it if we were struggling for space. The only times that the bleachers absolutely have to be out is graduation, because that's our backup. So we'd have to get those set every year. But our volleyball tournament, one side stays closed because we use one of the side courts. So that side would stay closed. We had like a performance tonight. We thought we were going to open up both. The Army band actually chose to go one side and play to just the bleacher side.
Mhm.
So 4 uses a year. I think that money would be better spent in some other projects that we've definitely got. When I talk to the coaches, and you'll see that in your packet, in the back pages of your packet, are the emails from the coaches. They don't want it open. They prefer not having people behind them. It's
Right.
distractions. It's things that now, hey, if we ever get to the point where we're filling up those stands, and I mean, that would be the goal of any athletic program, then yes, let's revisit it at that time. But personally, I don't. Players, I did survey the players. I was a little surprised at the response, because when you talk to them, they say no, but when we gave them a chance to answer things, they didn't seem to care whether they were open or not. That was a surprise to me. And then for me, I can tell you, on my opinion, it's just, there's other things that we could do with that money right now that could really affect multiple sports and multiple people, projects that we're trying to push. But one pot of money, and I know you guys, things, but if you guys have any questions, I would love to answer them.
So
And I
you would
and I
keep,
defer
you
to-
would keep
to
the
you.
ones that are behind the clock closed.
Closed.
That one would be closed. The other ones would be open.
Yeah, they'd always be
Yeah,
open.
that's,
And they work well.
they work well.
We just
And
got
they're
them serviced. We
more than
just had them cleaned. They just had them. They brought in a company that specializes in that, but they're also the company that won't touch the other side for us. They refuse to. So, or they will, but there's no guarantee with the fix. There's no 30 days, no nothing.
And you could push them manually
It's a little fun. It takes
Yeah.
some bodies, man. It takes some.
to full extension.
Yes,
Do you need them at full extension all the time? Or?
The way they're set up, we do,
You have to.
because it takes out the top levels first.
That's
So the
long.
top bleacher goes out first, then the next highest. The bottom ones don't start coming out till it's all the way out, which is really weird. And they will tell you either all they do it all the time, but you shouldn't be on those things unless they're fully extended. That's, you know,
Becomes a safety hazard. if
it
you
becomes, that's the.
How many staff members does it take to roughly?
Closing it, it takes less. Opening it takes about 8 of us, 9 of us.
But you can leave it open right now, right?
No. It has to go open and close during basketball season. We use all 3 courts. You've got boys basketball in one court, girls basketball in another, and then we bring one of the middle school teams up to practice.
Oh, that's right.
Because with the new after school programs, we no longer have access to RGE or HES,
That's
which what
right.
used to be. So now we're
I
doing
wondered why the.
21st century
school.
to get the priority in those places. We can't displace those little kids
Yeah.
for the season of basketball. I
Mhm.
mean, it's not fair. So we bring up one middle school team always comes up to practice at the high school. So we need all 3. So in the basketball season, they've got to open and close. If we're going to utilize them the right way, they would have to open and close pretty much, I think something like 15 times, 16 times a season.
And Sheila, if we were to do this, we would have the money to do it.
Nice question. Right now, we're sitting on 300,000 in our bond balance. We have 450 coming in next semester. So we may have to wait until that's actually received in March. That will be on the agenda in January, is to start the process of the bond sale. And then we will be going out to a bond election next year. They're projecting that to be quite higher than it is this year, but again, it has to pass. It has to, be elected in. So today, yes, there's money. We may have to wait until March. But my question for Mr. Sanchez is the flooring, does it need replaced if we do nothing? We still need to replace the flooring.
That $27,000
Yes.
cost is.
So the flooring needs to be replaced
Regardless.
regardless.
All of it or just on the sides?
No. So we're just talking about the side where the bleachers don't work.
Okay,
That side is $27,000. It's to, how they have the new little white looking boxes in it?
Right.
Those are called patches.
Mhm.
And we were able to patch everything.
Right.
We had to get ready for the middle school volleyball tournament this year.
Yeah.
Because it was a tripping hazard, but they need to go back and peel up. Uses a weird process where they have to sandblast it almost, I think.
Mhm.
And then they recoat it and make it all look the same. Because right now it's multiple colors.
Yeah,
It's
it's
it
been
just-
patched.
So if they repair that floor and then we have to open those bleachers again, is it going to damage that floor again?
No, and that all depends. If we go back to 16 rows, the same thing's gonna happen in 10 years, 15 years. It might work for a few years, but it's still the same floor and the same bleachers. That flooring is not really made to handle what we're trying to ask it to do. It's the exact same problem they're experiencing at Oñate High School. They've got that same rubber flooring, same type of bleacher setup, and they have to manually use their maintenance crew the same way to open and close theirs. It's the wrong flooring for that design. That it needed to be like almost cement style. to
We can do
zero-
cement and they can pretend they're playing outdoor basketball,
I agree.
outdoor
The tougher you
volleyball.
are, right? Like the old school ways, but the gym itself, as beautiful as it is, I'm speaking simply as a basketball coach. It's not the most functioning court. If you try to use side baskets to shoot free throws, you're disrupting the person in the middle basket. That's how close it is. They're too close. So you have 3 people literally like this shooting free throws. You're
that's
trying to
the
tell
way.
kids that, that's what you end up with. And Kukai, obviously you've been out there.
Mhm.
So to me, the most feasible one would be to go with 10 rows. If we really want to feel like the fix is necessary, it would be 10 because the lighter weight may give us more time. But again, we're still going off a semi-soft surface. The Mondo flooring is a semi-soft. It's not really soft, but it's not really rigid. It gives. So if you ever watch it push out, and maybe we should have done some videos for that. As the bleachers are coming out, the tires, it bubbles. It's pushing a bubble up. And no one will guarantee that. Stout does college level flooring, and they'll tell you it's.
And that's
It's
with the 10 or the 16. They won't guarantee it.
Excuse me?
That's with a 10 row or the 16 row, they
Well,
won't guarantee it.
he feels it would be less with the 10 because obviously you're
The weight.
removing, 40% of the weight. That's a big weight difference when you take off 40% of the weight because the last rows are the heaviest rows. As you go up, the metal going upwards is what really starts adding the weight.
But with a 10, will they guarantee it for a certain amount of years?
The bleachers will be guaranteed for brand new bleachers, always going to be guaranteed for the 5 years,
Just
10 years.
What's the flooring?
Floor.
Barry's been great to work with. It's not gonna break the floor, but
won't guarantee.
in 10 years, it's gonna start tearing the way it is now.
Either way.
Either way.
With a 10 rows.
With 10, well,
It'll
It'll-
probably
it'll-
happen faster.
Yeah.
faster with the heavier.
Right,
is what-
right.
And that was the way he explained it. And we brought him into the meeting, he kept talking, he goes, guys, like, if we were to go against the wall, the reason why the floor is 106,000 is that he would have to do that to the end. He would have to re-strengthen the other side. The side they're already going over has already been strengthened. It's already had the lower level process. Now we're just working the top. If we go to against the wall, he has to go back, go up everything, get down to the base, work on the cement, create some barrier he was talking about. Those guys are real technical. They know stuff. And he said, we would have to do that. But he said that would survive because it's the small side that pushes out. Like the lightweight rows start pushing out from the bottom, the way where you could pull out 5 rows and technically you could use it at 5 rows, 10 rows, but it would be farther away from the court.
It would be like the middle school. The middle school, you pull from the bottom.
Yes, they would be that method.
Okay.
And he's had to strengthen both sides. Just so you guys know, he actually said before my time, they did have to go in there and do a process where they strengthen the side. That's why either side you go to, if you look on the oxide drums, the oxide floors, there's a different color down the middle of both. It's the side that's been strengthened versus the side that hasn't.
So in your opinion, professional opinion, as a coach,
Well, my opinion changes as a coach. Let's put in 10 rows. Like, let's have it functional, right? Like you want to see a beautiful gym. As an AD, I want to see that part too. As an AD over all sports, I just right now personally, I don't think it's the greatest use of that. If we're saying that's money that we could use towards athletics, we're sitting on probably 30 projects from all our coaches that are begging for things. I mean, they upgrades. We've got to start considering the turf on the fields because we're past the 10-year life on turf. The infield needs to be redone already. The damage from the mound is there. We need to replace the batter's boxes. We've talked about shade structures for outside for baseball and softball, permanent bleachers out there so that, like, you remember going out there and it's like the sun is beating down on you and there's nowhere to hide from it. I'd like those things. It's sidewalks along the outside by the soccer so that the cars that pull up have an area to be. We have all these things and we do have one pot of money. Like my professional opinion to be, without being a basketball guy, is that we probably need to look at this elsewhere.
but the flooring needs to be done.
Yeah, the 27,000 part of the flooring does
Yeah.
need to be done. We need to make the floor look nice. And there's still some tears that haven't been replaced. We'd only replace the tears that posed a tripping hazard.
Tripping
So I
hazard.
didn't see the flooring on any of the options, so we would have to break that apart. I mean, like, for F, it says approval of bleachers and it's combined. So we could just take that flooring out, or we just table F for next month, or can we pull that out and just approve the
So-
flooring now?
If I'm not wrong, those are the quotes individually for each part. So the amounts in there, that's the quote for each. I thought I had put it in their quote for the flooring. There's one in there with an
Oh, there
email,
is?
and then it's like the page of it's after option 2. You'll see that one, the big one is the one for
Oh,
106.
option 2 is just the flooring.
Well, option 2 is the 10 bleachers, and then you'll see the price of the 27,683.
I don't
See
think we
that.
could just approve the flooring when we have to modify the agenda and we have to do that
Well, I don't-
72 hours in advance. Is that?
I think we
Possible?
could, it's on there, it's flooring. I think we could make a motion to separate that since it's, and I just don't see it for the 26,000. I'm sorry.
If I do not, I can send it to you guys real quick.
Oh, no, but I'm just saying, like, I didn't. I can't find it. Of course. My eyes are don't work very well anymore.
Can you do that, Mike? Just approve?
Well, I think it's also below the $60,000 threshold, guys.
Yeah.
So in all reality,
Yeah,
if-
but
You have
do we have to have
to
a
modify the
monetary-
agenda.
Yeah, the way this is written, this is what you're approving,
Oh,
so.
okay.
You have to
Okay.
table it.
But what we could do is, if that's the pleasure of the board for us to move forward with the flooring, we could do that without having to come back to the board for approval. Because it's under the $60,000 threshold.
So we would just make a motion to approve the flooring and, or we don't even have to approve that?
You just
Okay.
Table this is
Table
what
that.
I'm thinking. Yeah,
Okay,
I make a motion
You know-
to table.
okay.
I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
No,
Well, I
Keep
just, I just want to make sure that also, in this decision, I know it's a big decision, right? And, Sheila mentioned just briefly, you know, they're projecting, she met with, our bond, the people that manage our bonds. And what they're projecting for the next, bond election and what we would be receiving is significantly higher than what we've been receiving. And so as we think about, you know, I hate to say, you know, kicking the can down the road, but after next year, the district will be in a much better position financially to be able to do some of these projects. And not wait. We could do it if the board approved, you know, to move forward. We could do it, but we'd have to wait until the spring. But I'm just saying that in the future, we would be in a much better position to be able to do so.
And is there a different flooring, since we're gonna be in a better position to cut it and put a different type of flooring and, or something to change that?
yes,
Okay,
but a
This-
very huge cost.
yeah,
We're,
we just have a very huge, that's what I'm hearing.
we're talking about like another
Like $5
field
million.
house.
Oh,
Oh,
my.
oh.
It's
no.
a hardwood floor.
Oh,
That is the
Oh.
only floor that they can guarantee that will work on properly.
Oh,
So you're looking at cost
That
and,
is-
Oh.
you know, sometimes you have to look at the cost of something new versus, okay, we're gonna spend a lot less, but knowing that it's probably in 10 years,
10
it's
years,
going to need to be replaced again or repaired or whatever.
So, and really the cost that what really gets high isn't actually the floor. It's the ADA
Oh, oh.
adjustments that would have to be made because of the flooring that goes in. It
Mhm.
goes down. It's not the right height. So
Oh.
at every door, at every entrance would have to have some type of ramping system in it because it would be about, if you go into the gym right now, there's a dip to go to the main floor. They're floating floors. What people don't understand is wood floors are floating. Because it's mounted to the wood floating floors, it handles it well. Don't know why. But Barry came in and said every door is going to require probably about $60,000 to $70,000 of work per door area just to meet the ADA standards. So the flooring is actually not as bad as I thought. It's the adjustments with the gym
Adjustments.
design. When it wasn't done, when it was first built, you opened yourself up to a bunch of.
Yeah.
Yeah, I sat with Barry. I think I know more about gym floors now than and I've been coaching basketball for 26 years. I know more about gym floors nowadays than I've ever wanted. And but it's fascinating to learn that all the things that go into their thinking and how the gyms have to be designed when they're first built. So yes, there is, but it's really expensive.
Okay. So it's just. Are we thinking of just tabling it?
So I can make a motion.
To table?
I make a motion to table.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, motion to table so moved by Member Garay, seconded by Mr. Legarreta. And I'll go ahead and take a roll call vote. If you're in favor of tabling 4F, say aye. Opposed, say no. Member Garay,
Yes?
VP Gonzalez,
Aye.
Secretary Legarreta,
Aye.
and myself, President Marquez, aye. Motion is approved to table 4F. Okay, item 5 on the agenda, items for future meetings, members of the board. I do believe that we do have, it's January and New Year's, we do have election of board members that we need to put on there. Or officers, sorry. board member, not a board meeting, election of officers, I believe also there for January. New year, 2025. Anything else that you guys can know? Think of?
President Marcus, I wanted to also just I wanted to use some time in January. As you remember, we had talked about quarterly data presentations. And so I don't know if you want to do that at a separate board meeting, or if you want to just incorporate it into the January board meeting, where we can get a little more in depth with the formative assessments and MOI data, and just like we did previously.
Okay, and usually the window closes at 10, so you should have that data, but I'll, right, by January should be ready, but it's board, how do you feel? It's up to you. Do you want to have a separate board meeting or just or is to a board session to work session to go over the data, or do it during the regular board meeting? It's up to you.
Be okay with the regular board meeting.
Regular board meeting? Okay.
Yeah.
Ramita's ready, so. Okay. All right. Is there anything else? Okay, we'll move on. Item 6, executive session. The board will go into executive session according to section 1015-1 to 10-15-4 and MSA 1978 of the Open Meetings Act to discuss limited personnel matters related to the superintendent's evaluation and contract. No action will be taken until the board returns to open session. Do I have a motion to go into executive session?
So moved.
Moved by VP Gonzalez,
Second.
seconded by Mr. Secretary Legarreta. Any discussion? Okay, I'm going to move forward. I'll take a roll call vote for that. All in favor say aye, if opposed say no. Member Garay,
Yes.
VP Gonzalez,
Aye.
Secretary Legarreta,
Aye.
and myself, President Matias, aye. Motion carries 4-0 to go into executive session. Okay, we are now in executive session. Seven from the agenda, return from executive session. I will entertain the motion to return to regular board session.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Dai,
Second.
seconded by Vice President Gonzalez. I will take a voice vote to return to regular session. All in favor say aye, all opposed say no. Member Garay,
Aye.
VP Gonzalez,
Aye.
Secretary Legarreta,
Aye.
President Marquez, aye. Motion carries 4-0. We are now back to regular session. Item 8 on the agenda, potential action item from executive session. There was no action taken. And we'll go ahead and go to item 9. Next regular board meeting will be Wednesday, January 15th, 2025 at 6 p.m. And I believe that is it.
PM? Did you say 5 PM?
Did I say 5?
Six. There's
I
a
did.
six on it.
6 feet.
Okay, 6.
How
I'm all
do I
like,
change it?
oh,
Five.
Lord, I won't make it.
Telling you. Sorry about that. Wednesday, January 15th at 6 p.m.
Okay.
All right, I was trying to change it on you all.
No, don't.
No, okay. All right, so I entertain the motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mrs. Garay, seconded by Mr. Gonzalez. I'll just take a voice vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, say no. Motion carries 4-0. Meeting adjourned.